started. Awesome.
Hello and welcome everyone to Color Our World with Citizen Science, a really exciting webinar that we have for you today. We'll get started in a minute or so. We had over 1,000 people register for this webinar today, so we are expecting a lot of attendees. In the meantime, say hello in the chat. Where are you joining us from? I'm Tara. I'm joining from Philadelphia. It's actually kind of nice today. It's going to be in the 50s. So I'm happy about that. And we'll introduce everybody else in just a moment. And in the meantime, there's a poll that came up. What best describes your role at your organization and your library today? We're just curious to see who's here. And let's see who's in the chat. Wow, it's going by so fast.
Yes.
Oh, Robin said, joining from Vermont, where it is not nice out here today. I'm sorry, Robin. Dallas, Texas, Richmond, California. Love it. Coast to coast. Hello from New Jersey, my neighbors. Lots of New Jersey folks. Ohio. Lots of New York folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have fellow Michiganders, Kathy. Let's see how many people. Oh my gosh. Okay, we beat the number I thought that was going to be live, so I lose. We're at 421 people live right now, which is incredible. So we'll get started. Yay. Oh, there's reactions. Are people reacting? That's so cute. Okay, let's see who is joining us today. Wow, we have a lot of youth and children and teen librarians and library staff. An overwhelming majority. We also have adult services librarians. Welcome, welcome. Library directors, some non-library staff, very few non-library staff, a couple of SciStarter ambassadors, which we'll tell you about in a moment, and a few others. Tell us in the chat, although the chat is going so fast that I might not be able to tell where and what your role is. So welcome. For the purposes of this webinar, as you see, it is in the webinar style, so we can't see or hear you, but the chat is the best place to, chime in as things are moving, comment, let us know your thoughts. If you have specific questions, put them in the Q&A. I think that's the best way for a webinar of this size. Wow, we're at 466 people. Webinar of this size to keep track of your questions. Use that Q&A, and we will be answering those throughout and then saving some time as well at the end for some Q&A. All right. Oh, I love this. The other are, I'm seeing the folks that wrote other are the jack of all trades, tiny libraries that are like, yes, I'm the youth services and the teen librarian and the adult services and the library director and all of the things. So welcome. All right, let's get started. This webinar is so big because it is so many amazing partners coming together to bring this to you. My name is Tara. I am the director of the Citizen and Community Science Library Network, which is a collaboration between SciStarter, Arizona State University, the National Girls Collaborative Project, and we're also joined by our friends at StarNet and at the I always say CSLP, Collaborative Summer Library Program. Was that right? Collaborative Summer. Kathy's going to tell you. Kathy's going to tell you in a second. And this is generously funded by work that we're doing to bring you more citizen science in libraries through the Institute for Museum Library Services and the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation. So thank you all for being here today. There it is, the Collaborative Summer Library Program. Kathy, take it away. Tell us why we're here today.
Thank you so much. Gave me a good laugh. I often ask folks that if they can tell me what CSLP stands for, I'll give you a prize because it can be quite the tongue twister there. So thank you for having us today. Thank you for embracing our theme this year of Color Our World. The Collaborative Summer Library Program is truly a collaborative. We have about 38 member states, and we also have member libraries from all across the country, as well as like the Marian Islands, from Bermuda, American Samoa. So we are quite a large organization, And I am here today representing CSLP as a past president. We are such a large organization, but we actually only have two full-time staff members and one part-time staff member right now. So at the CSLP, we all chip in and support each other. CSLP is an organization that empowers libraries to foster community through inclusive literacy-based programs. We aim for them to be enjoyable by all ages, and we offer a summer uh, reading manual as well as artwork, which you saw on that first slide this year by Mike Mullen. So in our link chats today, in our chat, or excuse me, in our links, I got tongue twisted now too, Tara. Um, I put in a link to our member library. So if you are in a state and you're not sure if you are a member library, please check that link. You can contact CSLP if you'd like to join. If you're in a non-member state, you are welcome to join as an individual library. And then you can receive access to our artwork, our manuals, our PSAs, all the things that we produce together for your ease and use during the summer. And then we also have a link to our summer symposium, which just happened in September, or excuse me, in December. And we had Michael Threets as our keynote there. And we also talked about creative programming, sustainability, and from palette to posting, summer marketing, all great webinars that are recorded on our website for you to watch now. And finally, I just wanted to let you all know that we have a summer reading champion for 2025, and that is going to be Catherine Applegate. So there's information about our summer reading champion on the CSLP website as well, and some free resources that they're going to be providing. So I think that's everything. If you have any questions about CSLP, please pop them in the Q&A and I'll be on here to answer those for you. And all the links of what I spoke to are going to be provided to you today. Tara, you are muted.
Amateur. Uh, as if I haven't done this 100 times. What I was going to say is I've seen a couple of times questions, will this be recorded? Yes, this is being recorded. We're going to send out a follow-up email tomorrow with all the links. Claire has graciously put together a blog with all the links from today's webinar. So you'll get everything in multiple ways and feel super prepared after this. But thank you, Kathy. That was wonderful. And we are so happy to be partnering. Okay, so at SciStarter, we're all about citizen science. And so we're going to start here. Just a quick vote. How familiar are you with citizen science? Are you very familiar? Have you participated in citizen science projects before? It's also called community science, or participatory science, or crowdsourced research. Are you somewhat familiar? Have you heard about it, but not quite participated? Or is it new to you? We're just curious as we dive deeper into citizen science topics, where we're starting at. All right, let's see.
Got a lot of folks still answering, so that's
Okay,
why.
yeah, I can't see that. I can't see the percentage of participation, so I'm waiting anxiously.
We're at 85% participating. I'll wait a couple of seconds because that's pretty good. We usually aim for
Oh
80
my gosh, come on,
higher.
it's library audience.
Got 70
Best
more folks
participators.
available.
Yes. Best engagers. I love working with libraries. You're all amazing, and I'm just so happy that there's so many people on. And it's a Zoom upgrade worth it because we're above 500, Emma. We upgraded today so that we could accommodate you all, and we were hoping that we'd get above 500, and we have. All right, go ahead and release that poll. Let's see. Okay, we have a nice mix here. We have some folks that are very familiar, that have participated before, a bunch of folks that are somewhat familiar, and then almost half that this is a new concept. So this is great. And there's something for everybody here today, from the novice citizen scientist to those who have done things in their libraries already. So let's dive in. What is citizen science? Let's just give you a quick definition. Why don't you throw it in the chat actually before we go we go to the next slide, how would you define citizen science? Type that in the chat and let's see what comes up. Crowdsourced data collection, community bird watching, science run by the people, regular folks collecting biodiversity data. Yep, love this. Data collected by non-scientists, cooperative science, everyday people helping collect science info. Spot on. That is our broad definition of citizen science. There's lots of different ways to describe citizen science or community science, participatory science. We think about it as a global movement because really it's happening everywhere in the world that enables people from all walks of life, from children to adults to seniors, non-scientists, generally, contributing to real scientific research in collaboration with scientists and researchers. And that is what really distinguishes it from your average STEM program. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, but I want you to keep in mind this idea of contributing to real scientific research. It can involve lots of things. Citizen science, and you've mentioned a lot of these in the chat. It can involve observing and collecting data about biodiversity or the night sky. Monitoring, so sort of looking over time at pollinator activity, bird migrations, and submitting that data. There's lots of projects involved with monitoring biodiversity, but monitoring pollution, measuring such as water quality, light pollution, marine debris. And then there's analyzing as well. So sometimes scientists have too much data. Sometimes they need your data and they want you to look around the world and contribute your data. Sometimes they have a lot of data and they need help analyzing it. So a lot of projects involve analyzing videos, images, trap cameras. We're going to talk about those today. And also collecting actual samples, photos, but biological samples as well. We'll talk about one of the findings from my favorite example of biological sample collection. And the beauty of citizen science is that it can happen in your backyard while you're exploring your interests through hobbies with your family. It doesn't have to happen in a lab. It doesn't happen in a lab. It happens everywhere and anywhere. And today we're going to hopefully show you a wide range of citizen science activity examples and STEM connections that you can do in your community. Okay, here's some fun things we know because of citizen science. This is the one I was talking about with the biological sample collection. We know the human belly button contains 50 plus species of bacteria. We know that because people swabbed their belly buttons and sent in their swabs, and it contributed that way. I love that. This is another amazing thing. Because of citizen science, 3.5 months of lab equivalent research was completed in one weekend through volunteer hours in a project called Stall Catchers for Alzheimer's research. So again, it's accelerating research by involving lots of people. Hundreds of exoplanets have been discovered. This is one of those examples of we have a lot of data and information from NASA, from images of the universe, and we need people to look at them and observe. And somebody discovered an actual exoplanet. Did they name it, Emma?
Yeah, it's the one labeled there. Percival was found in
Percival.
2024, and it's named after Albus Dumbledore's dad, I think. Yeah. So if anyone recognizes the name, it
Look
is.
at that literary connection. We couldn't have even made, we couldn't have made it up. 125 bird species have been identified as lost to science. And we discovered that some invasive ants are spread by hitchhiking. So these are things that are not observed in a lab. These are things that we need lots of eyes and ears and contributions. So this is what I just want us to zero in on just for a second. I know that STEM is huge in libraries, and I love that. I've been doing, STEM focus work. Kathy knows we've been doing work with libraries for my whole career in STEM. And it's amazing what's happening. And citizen science is a great way to boost your STEM programming that's happening. The difference is that STEM programs teach people or engage people in a science topic, right? Whether you're doing, maker and engineering, or you are running an after-school science program. Wonderful. All those hands-on activities are critical to helping people see themselves as scientists. Citizen science not only engages people in that learning, but it also engages scientists as well. because you are collecting data and sharing those observations back with somebody, back with a project, back with a scientist. So both people and scientists learn. So that's where the difference is. It's not just enough to do science, but really it's contributing to scientific research. And there's so many projects we're going to tell you about, but that's really the key difference here. There's so many benefits to citizen science. It broadens the scope of who can contribute to science. We're challenging stereotypes about scientists. Anybody can really contribute and build their skills and become lifelong learners, which I know so many of your libraries are centers for lifelong learning in your community. And citizen science is really a critical piece to that and a great way to boost that programming. And then obviously, scientists and researchers benefit too. It really does help accelerate important research and discovery. All right, so quick quiz after that very brief Citizen Science 101. Which of these, sorry, the poll just took over my whole screen. Which of these activities is citizen science, okay? And maybe there's more than one answer. I won't give it away yet. Taking a photo of a plant during a nature hike and uploading it to an app called iNaturalist. B, organizing a beach cleanup. C, planting a pollinator garden to increase pollinator activity. Or D, testing your local water and reporting it to Crowd the Tap. That's the wrong app for that, the wrong picture for that, but okay, it's an app there that you're reporting it to. So which of these is considered citizen science? And maybe more than one apply, you have multiple choice here. I'll give you a moment to think about it.
We're at 64% participation, which is like over 400 of you have responded. This is crazy. Thank you all for being here.
I know, we love this.
70%.
Yes, I changed this slide and I forgot to change the picture.
Can you repeat
Yes.
the question that's on? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So the question that's on the screen. So which of these is considered citizen science? A, taking a photo of a plant during a nature hike and uploading it to iNaturalist. B, organizing a beach cleanup. C, planting a pollinator garden to increase pollinator activity. Or D, testing your local water and reporting the findings to Crowd the Tap. And if you think it's all of them, you can click A, B, C, and D.
All right, we're at 79%. So some of us are a little unsure. For some of you, you might be having issues with finding the poll. It should have popped up automatically. So it could be that you have other things on your screen. So just move things around and see if it appears, by the way. And we have some answers put into the chat too. So I will end the poll now so you can see the answers. And then we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, only 493 of you responded.
Now I don't see the poll. Where did it go?
Oh, here you go.
Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so let's see. Most of you put A, most of you put D, and then there's some mix between B and C. So I'll reveal the answers. In this current way that this is described, A is citizen science. You are correct because you're contributing data back to a researcher and a project called iNaturalist, which we'll tell you about. And D, testing local water and reporting it to a project called Crowd the Tap that is collecting information on tap water. Currently, as it stands, B and C are not considered citizen science because, can you tell me why in the chat? Let's think about it. No data collection, no reporting. You're not collecting data, not collecting data. No reporting, no collecting data, data. Correct. Nothing to report. That's absolutely right. So if you're not reporting something back, it is not considered citizen science. Now, there's easy ways to make these both citizen science focused activities. There's a great project that you not only collect beach litter, but then you can categorize it. Actually, Emma, tell us about it. You're better at describing the litter projects.
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple of them. So there are a bunch that are essentially designed to facilitate a litter cleanup, but you're also reporting on like the types of litter and like the brands of litter so that it can turn into a project that amounts to change. And so if you have a lot of litter from the Circle K across the street, you can notify them that there's an issue and there might need to be like a cap on the trash can or something like that. So these are projects like Marine Debris Tracker, which tracks evidence of water heading towards the oceans and waterways. Litter Journal, which is out of North or South Carolina. Now I'm not remembering, but they also are more locally focused to Marine Debris Tracker is talking about the whole world. And there are a couple others that are very similar that you may have heard of and are not like necessarily classified as citizen science because it's personal advocacy too.
Yeah. And the planting a pollinator garden to increase pollinator activity is incredibly important for the environment. And if you contribute to projects like iNaturalist, if you take a picture, for example, of a monarch butterfly that you've attracted because of your pollinator garden, that's great data, right? We're now telling scientists that not only have you planted a pollinator garden, but it is increasing pollinator activity. You're just showing that to a scientist. So there's projects that are great. The Great Sunflower Project, Caterpillar Count. There are lots of projects where you can actually observe that pollinator activity, count it, measure it, and then give that information to scientists. So I hope that helps you think about this like what makes citizen science and how it's different than other STEM or advocacy or environmental projects. Okay, so we're going to go through some projects now, and we're going to go through them in the context of STEAM activities. So STEAM being science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. This year's theme, Color Our World, is really all about art and expression. And we know STEAM is a great way to be able to tap into and make connections with an art and science. And citizen science fits in really well. So we've tried to think about activities, especially from our partners at StarNet, which Claire, I didn't, introduce yourself when we get to the StarNet activities. I didn't even introduce Emma. I'm the worst host right now. Sorry, y'all. But StarNet has some really great STEM activities that are and STEAM activities that connect really well with citizen science projects. But in general, STEAM is really a bridge to scientific connection, exploration, and community building. There's lots of different ways to think about this. We really try to think about it not just as like a coloring sheet about something related to science, but really it's integrating the two. So thinking about art and fusion events, community art and maker projects, advocacy posters and campaigns, storytelling and data visualization. All of these things are really important connections and to science. And you'll see as we go through the activities how these really are integrated well with citizen science. All right, I'm going to pass it to Emma now and Claire, who are going to go through the projects and the STEAM connections for you. And welcome Emma, who is the SciStarter wizard, whiz kid. So welcome Emma. And then Claire, followed by Emma. Go ahead, Emma.
Awesome. Thank you for calling me a wizard. I love it. And for the questions that have gone in the chat of needing the links to the projects we just mentioned, I'm going to keep a running tally of the extra ones that we might bring up so we can add them to the blog. So I'll send those along to be in the blog post that Claire has been sharing intermittently. That has all the links that are currently in the chat or in the presentation as well. So if we're starting from space, we can look at projects like Globe at Night, which is all about measuring light pollution as the sciencey part of it, but it's also about experiencing the night sky and learning how to find constellations. So this is a great project to do, especially as before we start getting to super early light times. It's a good time to kind of practice to get used to the idea of how to find constellations. But Globe at Night essentially gives you an excuse to have a sit down outside, learn how to find certain constellations, and identify how many stars you can see in the night sky from where you are. Essentially, what that means is that the amount of stars equates to the amount of light pollution that's in your area. And so by submitting data on how many stars you can see, you can also help scientists kind of measure the amount of light pollution across the globe. And so that map also changes over time depending on what new submissions of data we have. So we can see the increase in light pollution or decrease in certain areas. If any of you are in international dark sky communities, this is an especially important project because it'll show your community how light pollution impacts different areas and how much better off you might be in knowing how little light pollution you have and the ability to see full constellations. On the next slide, there's a little bit more information about how to actually participate in this. Essentially, you're going outside during nighttime when the sun has set, but the moon will not be there. So there are specific dates that they recommend for you to go out when it's a moonless night, and so you can absolutely see the stars. You'll use an app to select your constellation and your location, identify what you should be seeing, what constellation you will be looking for. It's a web app, so you can just like prepare in advance and then walk outside. Star maps, I forgot what they're called. That thing in the bottom corner, planisphere. Those planispheres are super duper helpful because it'll help you look at the stars without messing with your night vision too. And so you can also take advantage of one of our kit building guides that involves measuring light in the night for this exact project. And so in the bottom right hand corner, you can see the resources for that, including a light sky quality meter, which will tell you in numerical value how light it is outside, a red light flashlight so you don't mess with your night vision, and the planisphere, as well as a activity kit for you too.
Emma,
And
somebody had a question that I think would be great for everybody to hear about. What is a dark sky community?
oh, yeah, great question. Dark sky communities are communities that have applied knowing that they have certain qualifications to become a certified dark sky, as in very light, lacking light pollution in the area. And so they're the first one ever, I think, was in Flagstaff, Arizona. And it's a designation to like indicate that you are dark sky friendly, which means you have very great sounds shady, says Brian in the chat. It's not shady at all. It means that you have really great lighting in that it's lighting that faces the ground. It does not have pollution up into the sky where you need it. You don't use extra lighting. There are designations for urban areas too, so you could be a city that's dark sky appropriate or designated, which just means you are, in terms of cities, you still have less lighting than you could have, so you're being very responsible with your lighting. There are a bunch of places that are labeled as that, and I can drop the link in the chat once I pass it on to Claire.
That's great. And we had one more question, which we'll cover in a little bit, but I just want to there actually came in a couple of times. Are the kits available for purchase? So the kits the kit building guides that we have, and there's a bunch of them, I'm going to cover them in a little bit. We don't sell them, but we've built the kit guides so that you can build the kits yourself with very simple materials. We have links to all of the resources, like the light meter and the red light flashlight. And libraries are funding these kits in lots of different ways through their friends and family organizations. Sometimes you can reach out to your state library. There's lots of ways. If you have questions about those, we'll be happy to answer that for you as well.
And
All right, Emma, Claire, do you want to tell us a little bit about the STEM Activity Clearinghouse first, and then you can tell us about this project?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. My name is Claire Ratcliffe. I'm an education associate at the Space Science Institute in Boulder, Colorado, where we run the STAR Library Network. And our STEM Activity Clearinghouse is one of our favorite resources that we're constantly updating and adding to, but it's an online repository of over 500 hands-on STEM activities that we have chosen and tested out in libraries. So we want to make sure, they're relevant to library informal education environments, as we know that what you guys do at the library with your multi-generational audiences is a unique place. So we're always trying to find activities that can help you do your work. And you can sort through the activities based on age, content area, difficulty level, mess level, duration. And it's not just space science activities. We have a whole collection for citizen science, earth science, health science. So be sure to check it out. The link to it is in that link bank. And here's one of our activities that we are promoting from the organization called Explora. They create amazing, very simple one-page activities, and a lot of their activities are available. They're all available in English, but almost all of them are available in Spanish as well, and a lot of them are also available in Navajo. So just really great, fun, quick, easy activity. So this one is called Star Stories. We thought it would go really well with the citizen science project that Emma just presented on. And it's where you take the star map that's included in the activity, and you have kids draw their own constellations. After they draw their constellations, encourage them to tell the story of that constellation. What's the lore? When did this become a thing? You know, because most of the constellations are one of those things that every single culture has. It's not just Greco-Roman, Aries and Orion's belts, but every single culture has their own interpretation of what they see in the night sky. So this is really fun, really quick and easy, doesn't require a lot of materials. And then you can take it a step further and actually turn it into a sun viewer or a pinhole projector of the sun, just by taping some tinfoil on it, poking with a thumbtack a couple of holes, and then you could use it if you turn your back to the sun and project the image of the sun onto the ground or onto a white piece of paper. You'll see a small pinhole projection of the sun. So a really cool way to talk about how the sun is also a star, and get into storytelling and creativity, and just a way to, connect some art and some fun and some storytelling to stargazing. Yeah.
Okay. Our next project, Emma's going to tell you about, has a really fun opportunity associated with it.
Awesome. Yes, so this one's very recent because the Easy Mag project has just kind of begun. There are 2 satellites that are being used by the Johns Hopkins laboratory, Applied Physics Lab, sorry, it's on the screen, to essentially identify the electromagnetic fields and measurements across the Earth. And so they're inviting folks like you at libraries, at schools, and other community organizations to team up with them and receive a free kit that is developed and sent by them. So you'll have to apply to receive one. That's an easy magnetometer. It's like the size of a small lunchbox where you would walk it outside and you use it to measure electrical currents from where you are and submit that data to the project to supplement the satellite data coming in. Now, in terms of why this matters, we're in the middle and just after a solar maximum where we're still looking at a lot of solar activity. And so if you're like, what do you mean by magnetometer, blah, blah, all those things, I understand that we have had webinars on that topic in the past. And so I'll also add that to the blog of links where you can watch their specific workshop on what the project is. And so you can get more information from that since we don't have a ton of time. But essentially, the idea is that you're applying for a magnetometer and inviting your community to learn about Earth's magnetic field. And you can also demonstrate the use of it. You can put it next to something electronic and it will kind of go, kind of get excited and report more measurements because you're next to a washing machine or something. And then you'll be placing it outside to measure environmental electromagnetic field measurements. And submitting it at least twice a month, submitting it twice a month to the Johns Hopkins team. And it is a kit designed by them, and it is application based. They have quite a few left, and so we wanted to make sure that you had the message sent to you. If you're in the northern states of the US, they are especially looking at you. So if you're in rural areas and northern states, that's especially a call out to you. But everyone is still welcome to apply because as they whittle down, if they don't have enough in certain locations, they'll open up availability for other locations. This is 100% free, by the way. So you will not need to buy anything for this. Yeah. Awesome.
And we will drop that link in the chat. I think we may have already done that. But it will definitely, yes, where's the application? It'll be in the follow-up email, but we'll put it in the chat now again. Okay.
Yeah, and the link to apply is in that resource list. I'll drop that in the chat one more time.
Perfect. Yeah, and tell us about this fun STEAM connection.
All right, so this is one of my favorite activities. There's many versions of this that we did throughout the solar eclipse, like the eclipse chalk art, but this one is focused on the aurora. So we are still in solar maximum right now, and many of you maybe had the opportunity to see an aurora this year, even without having to go up to Iceland or Alaska. And there may be opportunities throughout this next couple of years actually, where you might be able to see auroras again. So this is called aurora chalk art. It's super simple. You just need an aurora stencil, which comes in the activity guide. You just have to cut it out, just a wavy shape that you cut out with either a white piece of paper or cardstock, black paper, colored chalk. And then we do recommend tissues for blending, or you can use your fingers, but I like using tissues. But it's a fun way just to observe what's happening with solar maximum and talk about what exactly is an aurora. What are we seeing up there? So in the activity guide, it does explain that auroras occur when gases in Earth's atmosphere are interacting with solar particles that are being, from coronal mass ejections, heading our way towards the Earth. We're fortunate to have our magnetic sphere of the Earth to protect us from those blasts, but we get a beautiful light show when that happens. And different gases are going to produce different colored lights. So red colors are energized oxygen in the upper atmosphere of the Earth. Green, which is the most common color that you see in an aurora, is energized oxygen in the middle of our atmosphere. And then purple, which is sometimes visible to the eye as white or light blue, is actually energized nitrogen in our lower atmosphere, interacting with those solar particles. So a fun way to literally be, celebrating the colors of our world and having a STEM connection through art. Next, we have art and the cosmic connection, another really fun one. This is, in my opinion, one of the only true STEAM activities I've ever come across, where you're actually learning about scientific concepts and geological patterns through art patterns as well. So you're learning art techniques while you're learning about the universe around us. So on the next slide, so the activity, it comes with a PowerPoint and a bunch of different NASA images of objects within our solar system, and even objects outside of our solar system, such as exoplanets. And so you'll need those images. You'll need pastels. I think pastels work the best for this particular one. You can try chalk, but pastels just blend so much better, and you can get different types of textures with them. You'll need blending tools such as Q-tips, erasers, or even just paper. Baby wipes are important because this is definitely a hands-on messy activity. So that can help. If you don't want to blend colors in the wrong way, have some baby wipes on hand. And it's really helpful to have some setting spray. So that could just be a tiny little bottle of hairspray that you get at the dollar store. And on the next page, this is just an example of some of the elements of art that you're learning, different art techniques through this activity, and then their geology matches. So the PowerPoint kind of walks through the different features that scientists are observing. We can't actually go out onto another planet, but we're able to notice patterns through our telescopes and different imaging. And then artists can infer what they're seeing based on the shapes and the different textures. So for example, circles that usually indicate some sort of impact feature or a crater. Blobs are, typically associated with volcanic processes or even surface liquids such as rivers or seas on some of our ocean planets. Straight lines can be identified as tectonic activity. So any types of tectonic plate movement. Squiggly lines, those are the forces of erosion, be it through wind or liquid. Colors will, we are able to understand different frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum based on the colors that we're able to see either visibly or, through other spectrums. And then of course, contrast. So you're learning about the value of light versus dark. That can tend to implicate that there's reflectivity of a surface or albedo. If you have clouds, you have the albedo effect of reflectivity. And it just gives you more information of whatever you're studying, whatever you're looking at through a telescope, what's going on with the geological processes there. So this is a really fun one. Again, it comes with all the materials you need besides the art supplies, but you can learn art techniques as well as learn about, the geology of our solar system and universe.
Thanks so much, Claire. Everyone's loving these activities, and I hope that you can see the citizen science and the STEAM connection. So you're going out with that magnetometer. Is that what? No, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Magnetometer and measuring electromagnetic rays, and then doing the STEAM activities. And I just want to mention, you know, that while these may seem like they are just for kids, I would love to make an Aurora chalk art. And I would love to do this pastel activity too. So think outside the box when it comes to your audience. I think for especially the STEAM activities, these are intergenerational. I know a lot of seniors enjoy. My mother-in-law yesterday was just telling me how she was coloring, you know, spent the night coloring because it just makes her mind, you know, at ease. So just think about that too. I think that that's really important. And citizen science is great for all ages, and especially adults. So. Okay, let's move on. So that was the colors of space. Now we're going to come down to the land and sea and talk about some citizen science projects that are related to that and the STEAM connections there. And yes, all the webinar, the slides, and the recording will be available in a follow-up email tomorrow.
Someone mentioned senior groups too. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
absolutely. Please do. Intergenerational programming is great with citizen science.
Well, and just one more thing that I'll add is like these activities are so flexible. They can just be standalone and sort of like out on a table, and you can have people, if you're doing the kits, they can check out the kits, and then you sort of have these STEAM activities out as a way to like draw them to the kits, or it could be an event, right? So again, thinking about how to use them in terms of programming and circulation is important too. Okay, go ahead.
Awesome. So as we come back down to earth a little bit, we're talking about air and land. One of our most obvious choices in a really, really solid project to do and long term as well is the Globe Observer Project. I am assuming that a lot of you have probably heard of this one because it is pretty popular. It's been going on for more than a decade too. It's been around. And essentially what this project is it's a NASA satellite supplementary program to be able to take our satellites in the orbiting Earth and then compare it to our on-the-ground observations of the same types of things. And so there are 4 different what we call protocols. There's one for clouds, so you're observing clouds and identifying what types of clouds you see, where they are, how many there are, what the ground conditions are because of the clouds, etc. We have, I'm skipping over mosquito for a moment, we have land cover where we're looking at the land in front of you, the landscape, which I don't know, you could direct it immediately to drawing a landscape art if you want, just to think about the art there. You're looking at exactly what is in front of you. So whether or not that's farmland, maybe that's just like right outside of a city, maybe that's like a lake or whatnot. It's any kind of a land cover and being able to identify what parts of the land are covered by what. And then trees, where you're measuring tree height and tree width to understand biomass on planet Earth. And so these are all 3 projects on basically supplementing that satellite data that's using other forms of technology to look down on the Earth, where we won't necessarily be able to see everything. And right now, actually, they're doing a February-long project where it's observing snow. So if you're in a snowy area, or there was snow, or there is intermittent bursts of snow, definitely look into this program just simply because now is a great time to be testing it and participating in a unique opportunity too. These are year-round projects, though. It doesn't matter when you do them. The fancy part about this is, though, is you can line them up with satellite satellite alignment, and so you can do it at the same time as when a satellite is flying over. The mosquito measure or the mosquito mapper one is a little bit different just because it is the most like lab friendly, where you are able to bring materials you basically suck up parts of, you actually take from the land, you suck up some standing water and get to observe within that water. So it's more of a lab related one, but it's also specifically about supplementing that satellite data to see the spread of mosquitoes over the world, so we can try to predict epidemics of mosquito-borne illness too. So the protocol remains the same essentially for all of them. There is an app, there is an ability to set up a class in that app as well for your library, where you can choose a protocol, any of the 4 that were mentioned. There's also one for eclipses when eclipses happen. So if you happen to be in, Iceland in 2026, go for it. It'll probably be available then too. You'll follow the instructions. It'll guide you through it as a full guide process, and you're taking pictures of what's around you, taking measurements, etc. Everything is prepared in advance through sharing through the app. And then you submit all that data and you have then supplemented satellite data. My favorite thing about this is if you do align it with the satellite overhead, that means that, especially with clouds, your observations are actually sent back to you via a personal email from NASA saying, hey, here are our images from the satellite matched up with where you were because you were in the same location looking up at us. So if you want to prove to your audiences that they are actually helping NASA data, sign them up for that one because that would be great.
And we do have a kit building guide for that one. You see the little image in the right-hand corner. It pulls from the protocol on the mosquito mapper, but it does include some instructions on the other protocols too. And this could be something that is a great project during a summer camp or as a kit circulation for anybody to be able to participate. I think there's lots of Globe is super accessible. Claire, what are some fun STEAM connections with this project?
Yeah, so this activity is also developed by Globe. It's called Cloudscape, and it goes right along with their cloud citizen science project. So for the citizen science app, you're looking at the sky, you're taking pictures every certain amount of time and submitting it to Globe for the scientists to record. But this is a way to really bring it home to kids. So you're basically creating a collage of what you see in the sky. And you're learning about the different types of clouds, the different atmospheric conditions that create the different clouds. And so this is kind of geared more for the classroom. So in the link that's in the link bank for this activity, we did create at StarNet a modification and prep list to make it a little more library friendly. I don't know how many of you do worksheets with your kids at school. So if you go on the next page, and maybe if you do, that's great. But we've kind of laid it out as just something that could either be a take and make kit or even a passive program. But it has the different materials that you can just print directly from the modification and prep list. And then you need craft supplies, which I know you all have. There is a clouds postcard from Globe. But basically, yeah, you take your visitors outside, you take a look at the sky and you just draw what you see or make a collage of what you see. And then you match what you're creating. If you're using those big cotton balls for these big puffy clouds lower in the sky, you're going to learn, those are, cumulus clouds versus, the ones that are really wispy and seem so far away. What types of clouds are those? And why are we seeing those on a day like today? And then there's some additional modifications. Maybe this is an evening program and it's sunset. And so you can take orange and pink and yellow markers and kind of draw on your clouds what you're seeing in the sky. But it's really tapping into observing and asking questions about what you're seeing. And then, collecting data through the app and giving it to Globe to their scientists. So just a really fun way to get all ages involved. Lots of fun stuff with cloudscapes. And then this next activity, actually, if you could go back one, to kind of connect it to the mosquito habitats. This one's called Build-A-Bug. No worries, we could slide past the first page, but it's called Build-A-Bug, and it's learning about water quality and different ways that you can assess water quality besides just having, pH strips and things like that. So
Sorry, my bad. I'm
go.
like, where am I? I was going the wrong way, and then I messed that all up. Okay, sorry.
No worries.
Build-A-Bug, there it is.
Build-A-Bug. So again, this is another activity that we adapted from an activity meant more for classrooms, and we have tested this in libraries, and it's been so much fun. So essentially, you're learning about a lot of different science concepts. You're learning about adaptations, what types of animals have different adaptations to survive in their environment, and in this case, it's what does a bug need to survive in an aquatic or a water environment? And so kids get creative with all kinds of things, gills or hooks if the water's moving really fast. And you just let their imagination go, and they can create their own bug that is specifically adapted to live in the water. And now if you go to the next slide, this is where we kind of connect it to data collection and inferences. So we're looking, the types of animals like mosquito larvae that you might find in the water are what we call macroinvertebrates. So macro means it's big enough to see without a microscope. It's not micro, and it does not have a backbone. And so I like to do this with the kids, pretend like you don't have a backbone, and you can really start thinking about how that might help you, swim or move through the water. And on the next page, We talk about those adaptations. So what are some adaptations that a macroinvertebrate might need to live in the water? This activity guide comes with facilitation tips, including open-ended questions for kids to really start thinking through what they're learning. And it does come with these images that give examples of adaptations in case anyone needs just a little bit of help, getting to that creative level. Next slide, please. So next, water quality connections. What do these bugs have to do with water quality? So many macroinvertebrates cannot live in polluted water. So things like dragonfly larvae, mayfly larvae, these are very sensitive to pollution. And so then you start getting into biodiversity. What does the biodiversity of macroinvertebrates tell us about the water quality? If you're going to your nearby stream and all you see are slugs and leeches and you don't see any macroinvertebrates, or maybe all you see are mosquitoes and nothing else, that might tell you that there is something that is affecting the sensitive macroinvertebrates and not allowing them to live in that water. So it kind of starts getting into what do we do now? This water might be polluted, or maybe there's an abundance of different species that you see and you can say, okay, I think this water quality is doing pretty well.
And there's lots of great water quality projects as well, and citizen science water quality projects. We didn't touch on those. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a lightning round because we still have sea to get to. So here's one more land activity. Emma, tell us about it.
And the best description of it is actually already on the screen, which is Pokemon Go for wildlife. So if you were thinking, what on earth is this? That is probably the easiest description to go with. It is an app, so if you're worried about your, what's it called, accounts, you can always go with a set of planned out accounts by the library and just have them as guest accounts for various visitors if you have the ability to put it on devices. Otherwise, you just request that folks download the app and have an account before they come to the program. But you're just looking for wildlife in your area, and it's very gamified, so it's very good for kids as well. And on the next slide, it's just a little bit more information about it, where you're just downloading an app, creating an account, go outside, gamified in a way to earn badges and awards, and you're helping identify these organisms too. And my favorite would be that bottom right-hand corner one. I don't know what that is, but it's adorable, that little lizard thing. And then you submit your data, and this is shared with a couple of different biodiversity projects so that we can improve our identification of species. It does connect well with the iNaturalist project if you want to use iNaturalist, and Seek as well, which is connected to iNaturalist. We have a kit building guide available for exploring biodiversity, which is specific to iNaturalist related work as well. So that's it. Great.
All right, very simple activity here, just getting outside and observing and writing down what you see. So this is called Season Seeking. This is an original SciGirls activity from Twin Cities PBS, but this activity basically tells you what types of things you need in a nature journal to collect really good data. So you need the date, the weather, the temperature, species identified, location. So it kind of gives you a little blueprint of what a nature journal can look like. And then you go out, and I recommend using this activity as an ongoing activity because the purpose of this is really to notice the phenology. So how seasons change over time. So it's really fun. You can relate it to different species. If you have like a bird watching group, you might see at different times of year, different birds out. And then you can relate that back to iNaturalist, which is an app that can record biodiversity that gets sent. That's data that's being collected and sent to scientists. But again, a fun way to get kids outside using their observations, writing recording what they see, and then revisiting it maybe week after week or even month after month. Have a Phenology Friday club or something like that. Get outside and see how the world is changing around you.
I love that. And another STEAM connection there too. I have a friend who is a what do they call it? Science illustrator. And so like actually learning how to draw the biodiversity, I think is great too. Okay, colors of the sea. This is a really fun one. Emma, tell us about Phantomverse.
It's also new. So the Monterey Bay Aquarium came out with this project last summer, I want to say. Might not be last summer, but it's called Fathomverse. It's this really cool video game-esque program where you're actually looking at deep sea creatures and identifying the various different organisms that you find there. It's especially important because we're trying to train AI and machine learning to figure out what these organisms are. And so you are discovering the life, so it's very educational. You're learning how to identify them based on little parts and the physical parts of the anatomy of these creatures. You're also working with feedback back and forth within other users, and it's gamified, so you can develop it into unlocking missions, and you have a library of things, and so it's a very, very kid and teen friendly project, especially. It does include a walkthrough and a tutorial that are really important to go through because it is a little bit tough on the front part, so going through that before you introduce it to your audiences is super duper important. And again, just like Quest a Game, it does require accounts, and so having a set of library accounts or having them download the app in advance is definitely a plus. And that's about it. And then for this one, so Instant Wild is one of my favorite projects. It's very similar, but it's using camera trap images. So instead of more gamified looking at these animals out of context, you're actually looking at a whole ecosystem and helping with population monitoring. And so you're looking at cameras from around the world, underwater and also on land. So it works for land projects too. And you get to watch these videos of these animals interacting with these cameras. I love this one just because you're hearing the sounds happening underwater and you get to see these really wild animals just kind of messing with the cameras. Honestly, a lot of selfies, unintentional selfies. And you can pick projects from all over the world. So if you're focused on a specific area of the planet and you want to teach folks about animals in Borneo, let's say, you can specifically pick that project to kind of help folks understand the biodiversity in certain locations. And it's helping with the AI and the machine learning. It's helping us make sure that we're identifying the right animals because AI is not good enough to be able to see these animals in dark settings and these like shadowy type things. It's just not good enough. Human eyes are super good for that.
Well, and these are really cool because no matter where you are in the country, you're getting a little bit of in your library, and obviously the under the sea is very colorful, as we know. So I think there's a lot of connections here. Claire, can you give us a very quick overview of this activity?
Absolutely. This is one of our brand new activities developed at StarNet. Fantastic fun, a blue whale tail mural activity. So this comes with templates just to print out and post up in your library to see how big a whale's tail is. And then it does come with printouts for animals that you can color and tape with inside the whale tail to just see how huge the whale is. So it is actually real size. You do need a big wall, to be able to set this up, but it's just mind-boggling how big blue whale tails are. They are the biggest animal that has ever existed on Earth. So you do need a flat wall space of at least 26 feet by 10 feet, a printer, copies of the mural, which are all included in the activity guide. And this is what you'll see eventually on that huge wall. But it's so fun. I think it's just a great way to just wow your audience, about how massive this animal is. And it's just fun to color in and be a part of a community mural. So check that one out. Let us know how it is. This is brand new and we would love any feedback.
I love this activity so much, and I thought the STEAM connection was just so apparent. And who doesn't love a grand, community activity to bring the sea to life? And blue whales, it's colorful. Okay, we have 3 minutes to talk about all the resources and where to find them, but we can go a little bit over, and you're going to get all of this in an email afterwards, but let's just keep going. We have some amazing online tutorials at SciStarter to help build your confidence and your staff confidence. We want to train your staff, and we can do it via these tutorials. So if you go to SciStarter.org/training, you can take the foundations of citizen science. We're updating the libraries as community hubs for citizen science. We have a SciStarter ambassador for training for your volunteers. These are free. They're self-guided. You get a digital badge from LinkedIn. So we encourage you to share this with your staff. The SciStarter Project Finder, we talked about probably too many projects today now that we're almost at time, but there are a lot more. So if you have a STEAM connection, if you have an art activity in mind and you say, what's the citizen science that I can do? You can search for it and there's probably a connection. You can also email us and we'll help you think of how to connect your art activity to science. Okay, this is the important part here. Not that it all hasn't been important. But this is our Citizen and Community Science Library Network. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. This is free to sign up. It is just basically saying that you're interested in becoming a community hub for citizen science, which means telling people about it. It doesn't mean, you know, you have to have kits or programs. It really just means that you're here to share about citizen science and get more people in your community involved in doing this work. And we have tried to think of every resource possible to help you with that. So the link is in the chat. I want everyone to take a minute and just quickly sign up for that if you are not already a member. There's close to 1,000. We have over 1,000 libraries now, so you can really help us increase that. If you don't see your area of the country represented, you definitely should sign up. And this is it's a really great network, and we bring you webinars like this. This program, though, is another really important program I want to tell you all about. The SciStarter Ambassador Program. So we realize that as libraries are becoming community hubs for citizen science, there is a growing need for support to be able to bring programs and build kits and you know, support citizen science efforts. So again, we want to train your volunteers. And this program, we now have about 150 SciStarter ambassadors on a public database that are here to help you all. I mean, we're currently recruiting for cohort 4. So if you go to scistarter.org/ambassador-apply, you can see how to apply. You take the foundations training, you take the SciStarter ambassador training, and then you just submit a very short application and you're in after a third-party screening. And we want to send you some materials. And what's really nice is that we currently have this list of ambassadors that has already been trained, already been gone through a third-party screening, that are all over the country. So you can go and look up these folks, and they are ready and willing to help you if they can. You can reach out to them via this public database by sending them an email and saying, hey, I have an idea for a citizen science project. Is there a way for you to come serve as a subject matter expert? Can you talk about it? Can you lead a training? They're all trained to lead the Foundations of Citizen Science training at your library. So this is a really great network. And if you don't have an ambassador in your area, send your volunteers our way so that you can get them trained. We are so happy to do this for you, and we want to see this network increase. All the resources that you heard about today are free and open to libraries. We don't sell the kits, but to build the kits, you can go to scistarter.org/library-build-a-kit. We do have promotional, like professionally designed promotional materials, bookmarks, things that you can help to promote the kits, as well as all of our kit guides have links to all of the materials that you need, and monitoring air quality that says coming soon. These are here. This is an old screenshot from something. All of these 6 kits exist for you to go through, and it'll tell you about the projects and how to build the kits. And then, as Claire was mentioning, the the StarNet STEM Activity Clearinghouse, where you can go and look at all of those STEM connections, the hands-on activities as well. Okay, I'm sorry, that was very fast, but I think hopefully you got everything that you need. So how likely are you to incorporate citizen science into your summer reading plans?
People are answering very quickly. We're at 42%, 50%. And just to note too, those of you who are unsure, somewhat likely, or feeling a little iffy about how to fit everything in, these aren't meant to be ways to like reconfigure everything you're doing. A lot of citizen science is easy to just like supplement your existing program. So don't panic and think you have to make up some giant thing just to make it work. We're here to work with you to make sure that it's accessible to be able to add on. So if you ever need help, please reach out to us. I've dropped our email a couple times, but it'll of course be in the follow-up email as well. So reach out. And it looks like I'm going to stop it there at 76% participation and share that a lot of you, 58% of you, are very likely, another 38 or 33% somewhat likely. And then those of you who are unsure, we hope we can push you up into the somewhat likely in the next day or so with the follow-up email.
Yes, yeah. And all the other resources and webinars that we have. April is Citizen Science Month, which means that we are in the 1 Million Acts of Science campaign, which anyone can participate in, especially your library. There's lots of resources for you to promote Citizen Science Month. and how to contribute to the 1 Million Acts of Science campaign, we have a webinar coming up on March 5th to help you prepare to participate in 1 Million Acts. And that can be as simple as creating a display about citizen science that helps to promote projects or a BioBlitz or a Night Sky event, tons of things. So if you want to participate in Citizen Science Month this April, please join us on March 5th to learn more. And there's some additional resources as well that we'll send tomorrow. Okay, so any questions? We can stay on for another minute or so. I know people have to drop off, but we're happy to stay on to answer more questions. Please join that network so that you can just stay updated on all of our free resources. We often have funding opportunities as well that we get from our partners, like that Easy Mag, the monitor and other things. I almost got it right, Emma. What was it?
Magnetometer. Thank you,
Magnetometer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so people come to us and say we want to get the word out about these things, or we have some funding for an event, or we want to partner with the library. So please sign up for that. I want to thank Claire and Kathy and Emma and Roland for helping today. We really appreciate everything you're doing. We love libraries so much. But any other questions, we're happy to stick around for another 5 minutes.
And just on the behalf of the Collaborative Summer Library Program, thank you guys for being such amazing partners. We love all the STEM and STEAM support you give libraries, so thank you so much. And to the Institute for Museum and Library Services for helping support such programs.
And I'm just checking through the Q&A.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there anything that we have not answered?
There were just questions about, and yes, this is of course being recorded. We'll send it in the follow-up. Will there be a link to register for the April event? April event or March event? There is a March event.
There's a March event to plan for April events.
And if you'd like to plan an April event, that's just on you to register your event on SciStarter, which we'll also share during March 5th, and can possibly add it to the follow-up email for this too. But we have a lot going on, so I don't want to overwhelm anyone too much. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. And we won't kick you all out. We will close the webinar
We'll
as a
close
whole.
the webinar at 10 after. Let's see if anybody else has questions.
Yeah. Will there be a certificate sent to log hours?
Yeah, if you need proof that you were at today's webinar, just send us an email. We can put something in writing for you.
Ambassador's deadline is January 3rd. No, the new ambassador deadline is the 14th. Kimberly,
March 14th. Yes, we'll update that on the website. There's lots of places we need to update that. We just onboarded cohort 3, so we're now recruiting for cohort 4 and March 14th.
I'm just curious where they're seeing 31st because that's should be gone, which is why I'm confused. Yeah. It's the pop-up. Yeah, okay, just kidding. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
like
we can
I said,
will.
We need a list of all the places to update the deadline.
Well, that one shouldn't have been running actually. It should have been a modal that stopped on the 31st. So that's just weird in general. I'll end it right now. Oh wait, Daniel has to do it. Never mind. It's not on the actual.
Good to know. We'll make that update.
Thanks for letting us know. But you have until March 14th, so you got time. Right, yeah, 14th. And we'll probably accept you before then if you apply sooner. So sweet. Still 156 folks online. I do see some hands raised. Molly and Karen, if you would like to speak, I'm going to go ahead and hit the button of allow to talk.
Dale said that Dale had questions too.
No, Mike. We can give
I think they may be gone though.
Yeah, I tried to send Dale our email, but it looks like he's gone. So.
Oh, okay. Bye, Dale. Sorry. You are allowed to speak. I just have to give you permission. So if you do want to raise your hand, feel free. And I did see 2 who were.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah. Our 100 or so folks who just turned their computer on and looked away at their library desks, at the checkout desks. It usually ends up. Being a bunch of them. You are very welcome. In case someone has a great question I didn't think of. Thanks, Christopher. Good call. We know you now did not look away from your computer. Thank you for confirming. Nice. Okay. Any other?
We're doing something in the Q&A. Oh,
Oh.
no. Thank you for the valuable information. Yay, thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome. Sweet.
Okay, I'm gonna actually, Emma, I think you are the host. So
Yeah,
thanks,
I
all.
will.
We will follow up with an email tomorrow. Thank you so much for attending. We really, really had fun.
Thanks, everyone.